All right, welcome back. Today we're going to be going over Seneca's letter to Lucilius, letter number, 16 that we're on here, and it's called On Philosophy, the Guide of Life. This ought to be a good one. He says here in verse 1, "It is clear to you, I am sure, Lucilius, that no man can live a happy life or even a supportable life without the study of wisdom. You know also that a happy life is reached when our wisdom is brought to completion, but that life is at least endurable even when our wisdom is only begun. The idea, however, clear though it is, must be strengthened and implanted more deeply by daily reflection. It is more important for you to keep the resolutions you have already made than to go on and to make noble ones. You must preserve, you must develop new strength by continuous study until that which is only a good inclination becomes a good settled purpose." All right, let's break this down. Okay, so he's saying here, I'm sure you know, all right, that no man can live a happy life or even a supportable life. Okay, you got to study wisdom. If you don't do that, you're not going to be happy. All right, and also that that finally this idea of a happy life, you finally reach that when your wisdom is brought into completion. We know that that's never going to fully be the case, but he's saying that okay, life is at least a lot better. All right, when even when your wisdom's only begun, it becomes a lot more endurable because then you start to understand things. All right, so um, and he's saying though this idea, okay, of this wisdom of being happy through the acclamation of wisdom. Okay, even though it might be pretty clear to you, it's got to be strengthened and implanted. Okay, it's got to be increased, but you got to do daily reflection on this. All right, and it's more important for you to keep the promises and the habits and the things that you've already learned to do those things than to go on forward and make future ones. Okay, so focus on what you're supposed to be doing right now. Don't keep on trying to do new things. Instead, focus on what you're trying to develop in yourself right now. Okay, you must persevere. You must develop new strength by continuous study. Okay, and then he's saying, and you have to keep on doing this until that the thing that you just thought, okay, this is a good idea. I need to change this about myself. I need to be different in this way. It becomes actually the fact. It becomes actually who you are, and you actually see that change. It becomes part of you. So don't just jump all over the place. Instead, focus. Focus on one thing at a time. Focus on improving the things that you've already set out to improve in your life, and do this daily. Reflect on this every day. He says in verse 2, Hence, you no longer need to come to me with much talk and protestations. I know that you have made great progress. I understand the feelings which prompt your words. They are not feigned or specious words. Nevertheless, I shall tell you what I think, that at present I have hopes for you, but not yet perfect trust. And I wish that you would adopt the same attitude towards yourself. There is no reason why you should put confidence in yourself too quickly and readily. Examine yourself, scrutinize and observe yourself in divers ways, but mark before else whether it is in philosophy or merely in life itself that you have made progress. Okay, so we have to break this one down here. All right. He says, look, you don't need to keep on coming to me, all right, with talking about all this stuff, all right. I know that you've done good. You've made great progress. It's good. Okay, I understand why you're like, look. I know I've made more progress than you think. Okay, I get what you're saying. You did make good progress. However, okay, I've got hopes for you. I know that you're going to do good, but I don't have perfect trust. You don't have it all figured out yet. And a lot of people think they have it all figured out when they start learning some things. They become so wise so quickly, but in reality, that's not true. Like they've made progress, and you might have made some progress in your life, but don't get too far ahead of yourself. Don't start judging everyone else and thinking that you're so much wiser than everyone because you learned a little bit of Stoic philosophy and you understand a little bit of the nature of reality. That's a trap. Okay, he's saying that look. So yeah, so you've done good. I don't have perfect trust in you, but I wish you would adopt the same attitude toward yourself. Okay, don't put confidence in yourself too quickly and readily. Don't just like, okay, you made progress. That's good, but don't jump the gun here. All right. He's saying to examine yourself, scrutinize and observe yourself. Okay. In every way. Okay. Uh, in what the most important question you need to ask yourself is you whether you made progress in philosophy or merely life itself. Did you just advance in life and learn things from life, or did you actually study philosophy? Did you actually learn wisdom? Did life just go on? Let's say that you made a lot of money. Is that just because you just collected paychecks and you just saved them, or did you do something new? Did you create something? Did you, he's saying, judge really what is the progress that you've made. Okay, and this is important because you got to really see whether or not are you actually improving. Is your situation improving, or are you improving? Okay, because you start to count yourself successful because all the things start working out in life for you. Ooh, is that really because of you? Right? You got to really think: is it because of me? Did I do this? There's a really good book about this by Annie Duke, a professional poker player, called Thinking in Bets. Thinking in Bets. I'd recommend that you read that book. It's really about this idea of some things in life are luck and some are skill, and usually it's a combination of the two. Most things are a combination of two, and you need to figure out when you win or when you lose, why. Is it because of luck? Is it because of skill? What part do you attribute to each? In verse 3, he says, philosophy is no trick to catch the public. It is not devised for show. It is a matter of not words, but facts. It is not pursued in order that the day may yield some amusement before it is spent, or that our leisure may be relieved of tedium that irks us. It molds and constructs the soul. It orders our life, guides our conduct, shows us what we should do and what we should leave undone. It sits at the helm and directs our course as we waver amid uncertainties. Without it, no one can live fearlessly or in peace of mind. Countless things that happen every hour call for advice, and such advice is to be sought in philosophy. So what he's saying here is that, look, philosophy is not just something that you take lightly, okay? It's not for show, all right? It's not a magic trick, all right? It's not even words. It's facts. Like we're interested in the truth of nature, all right? It's not, you don't pursue it so that you can have fun. It's not for amusement, okay? And it's not also to just relieve boredom. That's not the purpose of it. It actually molds and constructs the soul, the very essence of who you are. It orders your life. It gives you principles to live by, right? It shows you what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing, right? It directs your life in the course that amid all the uncertainties that exist in life. Without it, you can't live fearlessly or have peace of mind, all right? And there are going to be a lot of things in life that are going to call for advice. And the advice that you're going to find, where you're going to find it, is in philosophy. So this is really important, right? To understand how serious it is that, and Seneca talks about this so much, about how the sickly mind, this is the only cure, this is the only thing, and I totally 100% believe this. I don't believe Stoic philosophy is a philosophy. I think it is the philosophy. I think it is the truth of reality, of nature, of humankind, of how you should live. It is exactly how to live. And that is what the study of philosophy is a study of how to live. It's based on principles. Things are unchanging. That's what principles are. These are important concepts. You get these things, it changes who you are. It changes how you perceive the world. It changes your countenance. It changes your character. These are very important things. So I'm glad you're joining me, because this is the work that we must do. All right. He says in verse 4, perhaps some will say, how can philosophy help me if fate exists? Or what avail is philosophy if God rules the universe? Or what avail is it if chance governs everything? For not only is it impossible to change things that are determined, but it is also impossible to plan beforehand against what is undetermined. Either God has forestalled my plans and decided what I am to do, or else fortune gives no free play to my plans. So it's a pretty good argument. Okay, so what is this argument? He's saying, okay, look, how's philosophy going to help me? If fate exists, or if God exists, either one of these things, okay? So let's say if God rules the universe, then he's going to determine what's going to happen, all right? If chance governs everything, then I don't have any say in it. It's just going to happen how it's going to happen, right? So you can't change the things that are determined if God already predetermined everything. So what's my purpose there? And how can I plan ahead of the things that are undetermined, that is total random chance. So either, God has forestalled my plans and decide what I'm going to do, or else fortune gives no free play to my plans. Like, it's not going to let me do what I want to do. All right. So either way, I'm constricted. All right. So he answers this in verse 5. He says, whether the truth, Lucilius, lies in one or in all of these views, we must be philosophers, whether fate binds us down by an inexorable law, or whether God, as an arbiter of the universe, has arranged everything, or whether chance drives and tosses human affairs without method. Philosophy ought to be our defense. She will encourage us to obey God cheerfully, but fortune defiantly. She will teach us to follow God and endure chance. Okay, so his answer to this is like, look, here's the thing about it, all right? It doesn't matter. If God has set the universe in order and your life is pre-orchestrated, then understanding philosophy will help you to endure that. Okay, it will help you, or actually, it will help you to follow that. Just like the example of the dog being dragged by the cart, right? The dog is chained to this cart. The cart is moving. The dog can either be dragged by the cart or he can go along with the cart. But either way, he's going where the cart's going. And so if God is ruling the universe, if he's already preordained things and set things into order, do you want to be dragged? No. It will help you to cheerfully to obey God cheerfully, to do what you're supposed to do cheerfully, to realize that this is your fate, and to accept that, and to not fight against that, not to be dragged. All right. But also, if it's fortune, if it's all chance, then it will allow you to defy it, okay? And to endure chance, to endure the random things that happen in life, because it's okay. Because philosophy teaches you that you don't have to be beholden to the external things, that you can control your inner, you can interpret things. You don't have to fight against fate. It allows you to endure it, right? That you can accept it. You don't accept the gifts of fate. You don't depend on the future. You don't depend on the things that you don't have. You don't desire the things that you don't have. Instead, you're happy with what you have. And so it doesn't matter what is thrown at you, whether God says this is the path you're going to go, or whether chance gives you a slap in the face. It doesn't matter. That's what he's saying. His philosophy is really the only defense against that, against this uncertainty, against not knowing. And it doesn't matter which way it falls. Okay, does that make sense? It doesn't matter, because if you have a defense, if you have a way of handling, of coping with life, okay. So one person said that Stoic philosophy is a coping mechanism that doesn't work for everyone. Maybe it is a coping mechanism, but it definitely does work for everyone. It is the way to cope with life. It's the way to handle life. That's what he's saying. Is philosophy is a tool for handling life, whatever it throws at you. Okay. In verse 6, he says, but it is not my purpose now to be led into a discussion as to what is within our control. If foreknowledge is supreme, or if a chain of fated events drags us along in its clutches, or if the sudden and unexpected play the tyrant over us, I return now to my warning and my exhortation, that you should not allow the impulse of your spirit to weaken and grow cold. Hold fast to it and establish it firmly, in order that what is now impulse may become habit of the mind. Okay, so what he's saying here is like, look, I'm not going to get dragged down. I'm not going to get trapped into the discussion of whether you have free will or not, or things are preordained. That's not the purpose. It really doesn't matter. Okay, so either way, you're going to have to deal with the situation. Okay, so I don't care about that. All right, what I do care about is what I'm trying to tell you about in this letter, which is, look, you shouldn't allow the impulse of your spirit to weaken and grow cold. Okay, you shouldn't just stop practicing what you're learning here. Okay, you've got to keep on going until this thing that's an impulse right now. You have this desire to learn these things until it just becomes a habit. So this is just who you are. This is how you act in life. Right? That is the goal here. In verse 7, he says, I know you well. You have already been trying to find out from the very beginning of my letter what little contribution it brings you. Sift the letter, and you will find it. You need not wonder at the genius of mine, for as yet I am lavish only with other men's property. But why did I say other men? Whatever is well said by anyone is mine. This is also a saying of Epicurus. Okay, so he's going to give the saying here, but we've heard this many times, and Seneca really wants you to know, okay, because he repeats it in almost every letter. No wisdom belongs to a man. No idea belongs to a man. It belongs to whoever possesses it. Okay? You can claim it for your own once you understand it. And the reason why he says it so much is because he doesn't want people to be focused on the people. Instead, he wants them to be focused on the message. Like if you're like, okay, this is the great man, like don't focus on the man, focus on the message. Right? This is the whole guru worship and the cults. He's trying to avoid these things by saying, look, the wisdom is yours. If you have it, it's yours. Forget about, you sure attribute it to where you've heard it. That's fine, like he's doing here. All right. So this is also saying of Epicurus. If you live according to nature, you will never be poor. If you live according to opinion, you will never be rich. All right, so let's break that down in verse 8. Nature's wants are slight. The demands of opinion are boundless. That's the answer to that. Nature's wants are slight, right? There's not much that you really need in nature. What is he saying? He's saying you need food, you need shelter, you need, some basic things in order to live, okay? But opinion, that's boundless. The things that you could want or that you could need or that you could care about, it's too much. You can't ever fulfill those things. So he says, suppose that the property of many millionaires is heaped up in your possession. Assume that fortune carries you far beyond the limits of a private income, decks you with gold, clothes you in purple, and brings you to such a degree of luxury and wealth that you can bury the earth under your marble floors, that you may not only possess but tread upon riches, add statues, paintings, and whatever any art has devised for the satisfaction of luxury. You will only learn from such things to crave still greater. Okay. So this is, again, this is a common theme here. He started off by saying nature's wants are slight, but the demands of opinions are boundless. And he's saying that, look, imagine you amass all this fortune. You're just rich beyond your wildest dreams. You have all of this stuff, okay? So much luxury. The result of that will be that you will just learn to crave even more things, even bigger. You're going to need a bigger high, right? It's going to wear off. You can't ever get to the point where you're just like, okay, I have enough. If that's what you're trying to do, so stop. In verse 9, he says, natural desires are limited, but those which spring from false opinion can have no stopping point. The false has no limits. When you're traveling on a road, there must be an end. Okay? But when astray, your wanderings are limitless. Recall your steps, therefore, from idle things. And when you would know whether that which you seek is based upon natural or upon a misleading desire, consider whether it can stop at any definite point. If you find after having traveled far that there is a more distant goal always in view, you may be sure that this condition is contrary to nature. Farewell. Okay, so let's break this down here. He's saying that, look, so the natural desires are limited, okay? But the unnatural ones, the ones that spring from false opinion, there's no limit to those things. The false has no limits, okay? So when you're traveling on a road, right, a road in life, a path, there's got to be an end, okay? But when you're astray, your wanderings are limited, all right? So all roads go somewhere. If you're on a road and it doesn't go somewhere, you're wandering. you're not going on a road. You're going astray. Okay? So then he's saying, recall your steps, therefore, from idle things. Okay, so stop going in directions of idle things, all right? Of nonsense. And when you would know whether that which you seek is based upon natural or a misleading desire. Okay, so if you want to know whether you're going after something that is a natural desire, it's something that is in nature, like this quote, remember what the quote said? The quote was, if you live according to nature, you will never be poor. If you live according to opinion, you will never be rich. Okay, so if you're trying to figure out the right road that's going to make it so that you're never poor, okay, here's what you should do. Okay, consider whether it can stop at any definite point. Okay, so if you find, after you've traveled for quite some time on this path, that there's always a more distant goal in view, okay, you can be sure that you're on a path that's contrary to nature, because that's not how it is. Because nature's desires are limited. They're simple. It's a road that ends. If you're on a road that doesn't end, it's a bad road. You should get off of it. I'll see you tomorrow.